Another 3-hour SmackDown in the books, and man, that was a rough watch. Thankfully, we had a fun main event tonight. And with that main event, another spot has been filled in the men's Elimination Chamber match coming up in 2 weeks. We already had John Cena, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, and Logan Paul. And after tonight's show, Damian Priest is now officially in the Elimination Chamber. We have one spot left to fill. That will be filled this coming Monday. Seth Rollins goes one-on-one in the final qualifying match. He will be taking on Finn Balor. So Damian Priest is headed to the Chamber. Braun Strowman is not. And someone else who is not is Jacob Fatu. On account of Solo Sikoa's interference. Not that Solo came out to intentionally cost him the match, but that's what ended up happening. All is not well in the Bloodline. And if it was not clear before, then it is completely clear now what the vision is for Jacob Fatu as far as his direction and what he will be doing at WrestleMania this year. And that is the correct choice. That is the right choice to make as far as what he will be given at WrestleMania 41. We also had Naomi qualifying for the Women's Elimination Chamber match, which means both members of the Women's Tag Team Champions will be competing against each other. As they did in the Royal Rumble, they are both going to be in the Chamber. Also on this show, though, on the women's side, Charlotte Flair has made her choice. As Jey Uso did on Monday night with Gunther, Charlotte Flair made her choice tonight. Her choice for WrestleMania will be Tiffany Stratton. She is going after the WWE Women's Championship, which has been the obvious choice for months, and also is the correct choice. And Nick Aldis, he sprung some anonymous cell phone video on us that, according to the dumb baby faces, Bianca Belair and Naomi, implicate two people as the culprits responsible for the attack on Jade Cargill, which happened months ago. And so all of a sudden, out of the clear blue sky, anonymously, we get this shitty cell phone video that they air on the show tonight. And they want us to believe that these two people are the ones behind the attack on Jade Cargill. I'm not buying it. Not for a second. And you shouldn't either. I'll let you know who they want us to believe the guilty party is. And also what Trish Stratus' role will be in Toronto. Because Trish was on the show tonight. And now she has a match for the Elimination Chamber, since they're going to be in her backyard. And I will never complain about Trish being on the show. Trish is great. Even Trish, though, cannot save this show. This was largely a drag. This was largely a very boring show. Even though it was a newsworthy show, like I said, a couple people qualified for the Chambers. Charlotte made her choice. We did have a fun main event. And yet, it is a 3-hour show, and so that's hardly the only stuff that happened on this show. And it was hardly worth it to get there for the good stuff that we did get. The show was just a drag. And look, this is not to say that SmackDown was so great when it was 2 hours. I mean, let's be honest here. SmackDown has not been a great show for a while now. It's not like it just went to 3 hours last month and all of a sudden it sucks. SmackDown has not been lighting the world ablaze for quite some time, but 3 hours has been the absolute death of this show. And I know we have to contend with it for several more months, and just the thought of it makes me want to fucking vomit, but that's the way it is, and this show at 3 hours absolutely is worse than it was when it was at 2 hours. And some people thought that would be just the opposite, that all of these new people would have time at 3 hours that they wouldn't have at 2 hours. And while that may be true, technically, there probably are people that we saw tonight who we would not have seen on a 2-hour show. That doesn't mean that the shows are going to be fun because those people are on the show, right? You have to have fun, interesting things for those people to do. And the creative right now on this show is just not hitting. It's just not. In fact, I would say SmackDown at this point, going back the last few weeks, is consistently, of the three main shows. So we're not counting NXT, we're not counting Collision. Of the three main shows, SmackDown is by and large the weakest show of the week. And they have to do something about that because we're heading into WrestleMania season where we're supposed to be pumped up. We're supposed to be excited. Think of where we were with SmackDown a year ago. Now, The Rock was around, and so, of course, where The Rock goes, that's where the main stories are, and that had a lot to do with it. Well, The Rock isn't around right now, at least not for a few more weeks. The Rock is not around right now. And that doesn't mean that you should just kind of throw your hands up in the air and give people a boring build to WrestleMania, but unfortunately, that's what this show felt like tonight. I will not bore you, though, because this is your Friday Night SmackDown review for Valentine's Day 2025. I am the Solomonster. I hope you all had a very happy Valentine's Day. It is, of course, the holiday where all of the greeting card companies and all the florists and all the chocolate companies, they make a killing every single year because that's just the way it is. Somewhere along the line, it was determined that this is what defines Valentine's Day. You buy flowers and you buy chocolate, you go out to eat, you have a nice dinner. Right? Nothing wrong with taking your lady friend out to dinner or whoever. But man, they make a killing off this shit. And for what? So the flowers could die a few days later and the chocolates get eaten, you gain 6 pounds. That's Valentine's Day. Hope you had a good one. Like and subscribe. Super chats are open. You will see them popping up on your screen. I may have to change that one. It's no longer I love you Solo. After tonight, Jacob no longer loves Solo. Things are headed in a very different direction with those two. But anyway, we will go through your super chats. I do very much appreciate whatever support that you throw my way. It means a lot. So we'll get to that a little bit later on. But let's go back to the beginning here. Let's rewind to the beginning of this show. Because there was no Joe Tessitore on the show tonight. Wade Barrett opened the show. And he explained that Joe was away on assignment. And so filling in for Joe was the old play-by-play voice.
Watch me. Say hello to Liver Morgan. You know you want me, baby.
Liver Morgan joined Wade Barrett on commentary tonight. I'll take Liver Morgan. I'll take Liver Morgan over what we got tonight. What I was going to say is that we got the...
Ghoul.
And you get,
He's a Ghoulber.
Ghoulber.
Do that match at WrestleMania.
Fucking Ghoulber. We have not heard. You know, it's funny. That super chat reminds me. Hey, Natasha, thank you for the $40 Ghoulberg super chat. Natasha, I hope you had a very happy Valentine's Day. But that reminds me, we have not heard anything about Goldberg's match at WrestleMania, which is a good thing. That means he might not have his retirement match at WrestleMania. Unless he shows up in Toronto. Maybe they'll put that off for later in the year, maybe SummerSlam. Or probably, let's be honest, probably one of the Saudi Arabia shows because, you know, Goldberg's been on a few of those before, so we can't rule that out. But Natasha, thank you very much. Goldberg with us on the street. You can't have a Valentine's Day without Goldberg. I love it. I was going to say Wade Barrett had his old partner Corey Graves with him, but I'd be lying if I said that because they passed over Corey Graves to bring Vic Joseph. Oh, yes, Vic Joseph was on SmackDown tonight. The NXT play-by-play announcer was now the SmackDown play-by-play announcer. See, that's what happens when you tweet bad things about WWE. You get moved down the ladder. They move you down the pecking order. Poor Corey Graves. Cody Rhodes was out to the ring to open the show to address the audience. And he said that with Jey Uso making his choice on Monday to challenge Gunther at WrestleMania, all eyes now turn to the Elimination Chamber and who goes on to challenge him for the WWE Championship. And he started to poll the crowd. He should have had a Twitter poll. That way everybody can bitch at him. He started to poll the crowd on who they wanted to see him defend his title against. And he went down the list of different names. And he booed Logan Paul. Or the crowd booed Logan Paul. The crowd cheered CM Punk. They really cheered for John Cena. And then they even chanted his name. More so even than Punk. One person that it won't be, he said, is Solo Sikoa. who dropped him with a Samoan spike, if you recall, at the end of SmackDown last week, because we can't get away from Cody Rhodes and the Bloodline. So that was the angle that closed the show last week. This week, we're opening up with Cody talking about Solo Sikoa. But Cody had an interesting comment in here where he said he doesn't think that Samoan spike was intended for him. This brought out Drew McIntyre, who was very upset that Cody left him out when he was running down the list of different people who were in the Elimination Chamber. And he pointed out that, actually, Cody said, look, I apologize. I'll do it over again. And so he went and he said, and also Drew McIntyre. McIntyre pointed out that he's won the Elimination Chamber twice, including once as a world champion. He's the same Drew McIntyre who stood in the ring on SmackDown last month and hugged Cody, and then Cody tried to fight him. The same Drew McIntyre that Cody attacked on Raw after that. He said Cody has made it personal, so he is going to have to remind him exactly who Drew McIntyre is. And Cody said that he could count on one hand the men that have beaten him since he came back to the company. Drew McIntyre is one of those people. And he has not forgotten about that. So this brought out Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga in their street clothes. They made their way out. Loud Fatu chants after they cut off the music. Louder, I'll tell you what, those Fatu chants were even louder when the people were chanting for Punk and they were chanting for Cena. When Cody was talking, the Fatu chants were even louder. So he told Drew that he already got his spot in the chamber. Him, he's all gas and no brakes tonight. So when it comes to Damian Priest and Braun Strowman, he's about to dog walk their asses. And when he gets done with them, he'll earn his way into the Elimination Chamber, and after that, he's going to WrestleMania. And when he's done with WrestleMania, he is bringing that title back home to his family where it should have never left. McIntyre said that him and Fatu have, they have something here. This is something that people want to see. A psychopath and a werewolf throwing down in the nation's capital. But it's not going to happen because he's got his spot in the chamber already. Cody, I think he wants to talk to you. And with that, McIntyre exited stage left. So Cody told Fatu, only after you qualify for the chamber. And then when you win the chamber, then the two of us can do this dance. Suddenly on the big screen, they showed Solo Sikoa pulling up to the arena in an SUV. He was wearing all white. Like, he looked like he just came from a fucking wedding, this guy. Either that or some kind of music video from the late 90s you would see the fucking Backstreet Boys and NSYNC in. So he comes out of the SUV, and Cody went to go leave the ring. He was going to go after him. And Jacob, who was also facing the screen, just put his arm out to stop Cody. And Jacob said, nah, if anybody is going to speak to Solo, it's going to be me first on some family business. And Cody said, you could get the first word, but I'm going to have the last word, which was foreshadowing about what would happen at the end of the show tonight. And with that, Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga, they left the ring and they were headed to the back with a purpose. Jacob did not look very happy at all, and he was off to confront Solo Sikoa. So again, I reiterate, take note, those Fatu chants are getting louder. They were at least as loud, if not louder, than the chants for some of the biggest stars in the entire company. So week by week, with each passing week, his stock is rising, which is nice to see. And he did not look happy about the arrival of Solo Sikoa, so that would feed into an ongoing angle throughout the show, and then, of course, it would pay off with what happened in the main event, but that was kind of the main key story for the night. After a break, they come back, and we see Tama Tonga is searching for Jacob Fatu or Solo Sikoa. He's with Jacob Fatu. We don't see Jacob, though. We just see Tama Tonga. Tama Tonga comes upon one of the production assistants, and he asks if he knew where Solo was, and this guy looked terrified. He goes, I don't know.
Say hello to Liver Morgan. You know you want me,
You know, I'm
baby.
starting to think George has a crush on Liver Morgan, because that's the second time this week. George, thank you. Thank you for the $15 super chat. Liver Morgan, I believe, is George's Valentine tonight. So the production assistant looked terrified and said he didn't know. So Thomas spared his life and he just kept walking. I was surprised that he didn't put his hands on him. And then 2 seconds later, here comes Jacob Fatu like a bat out of hell, and he just obliterates this fucking guy and just lays him out on the ground. So in the end, he got what you would expect him to get. They cut to ringside, and Wade Barrett was standing up. He was over by the barricade, right behind the announcers. In the front row, he had a very special guest that he was there to interview. And that special guest was none other than Trish Stratus, who we just saw in the Royal Rumble a couple of weeks ago. Wade said that in 2 weeks, they have the Elimination Chamber coming to Trish's hometown of Toronto. And can we expect her to make an appearance? Trish said that coming into the Royal Rumble at number 25 was appropriate because she is celebrating her 25-year anniversary with the company this year. Can you believe that? The silver anniversary. Trish Stratus in WWE. She's timeless. We have timeless Toni Storm in AEW, but you look at Trish, man, she's timeless. So it's always good to see Trish. She says she just has to decide if she's going to be watching at the Elimination Chamber from a seat or from a suite. And then she was interrupted by Chelsea Green's entrance for the next match, which was an Elimination Chamber qualifying match with one half of the women's tag team champions, Naomi, taking on Chelsea. And Naomi had Bianca Belair with her. Bianca already qualified last week with a win over Piper Niven. The way that the Trish segment, I guess you would say, the way that ended was a little awkward. The way they just sort of cut it off. And there was no mention of her having a match. She's like, well, I'll be there. I'll be in a seat or I'll be in a suite. You know, I'll eat in a boat or I'll eat with a goat. You know, I'll have some ham or, we're doing children's stories here. So she would make an appearance later in the show. This was not the last that we saw of Trish Stratus on this show. Her being in Toronto on that show, by the way, is not surprising at all. If you could find something for her to do there, you absolutely have her on that show. So Naomi hit a heat seeker late in the match, but missed a split-legged moonsault. Chelsea hit a Rough Rider for a near fall, and then she dropped Naomi with a backstabber. She tried to come off the top with an unprettier. Naomi, though, slipped out and caught her with a kick. And Naomi then hit the split-legged moonsault to get the win and to advance to the Elimination Chamber. Not that I expected any different. You knew that Naomi was going to win this. You had to know Naomi was going to win this match. But I must point out that makes both women's mid-card champions who have been pinned on television this week in losing efforts in chamber qualifying matches. On Monday, we had Lyra Valkyria, the new women's intercontinental champion, who has not wrestled, prior to Monday, had not wrestled the match since she beat Dakota Kai to win that title. It had been a month. She didn't work one match, okay, outside of, I guess, the Rumble she was in. And she went in there with Bayley and she lost. Is it going to kill her? No. But it's a little weird. You just crowned this brand new champion and you just introduced two brand new titles and you want people to take them seriously and look at them as some sort of valuable, asset. You beat Lyra on Monday. Chelsea Green is the United States champion. She goes in there tonight against Naomi and loses. Champs are chumps. Both women's mid-card titles, they made it very clear this week where they're slotted and what they think of those titles. Then we got a Sami Zayn video. Now, he had posted this earlier on social media. This is from his home. He was sitting on his couch. He said that his neck is not doing well. By the way, I have to ask a question here. This is not the first time this has happened, because we got videos tonight, social media videos that they aired on TV from Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Now, I watched these videos when they initially posted them on their social media accounts, and the quality was really good. So why is it that when WWE takes these videos and airs them on their television show, it looks like shit? Why does the quality degrade when they air them on the show, or is that just something that I'm seeing on my feed for some reason? Just a little thing that struck me as being odd. So Sami said that his neck is not doing well. He said that he has nerve damage and he's been seeing specialists. He said it's been tough to come to terms with what's happened between him and Kevin Owens. He said their turns on one another. Basically, he admitted, like, yeah, all the times that he's turned on me or I've turned on him, it's basically the stuff of comedy at this point. But this one is different because Owens tried to end his career with that package pile driver. And Sami admitted, he said, look, I don't know when I'm going to be back or when I'm going to be cleared, but he and Kevin Owens are going to go at it again once he is cleared. And he said that it won't be fun and that he would be seeing Owens soon. So that was Sami's response. Yeah, see? Yeah, Maddie says the quality, when they air those videos, the quality looks like it's from 2008. I think they must apply some kind of filter to make it look that way on purpose. I don't know why. It's just very strange. Now, we got a response video from Kevin Owens. It came later in the show. I'll mention it here, though, since we can just bunch these things up together. But later on, Owens posted on his social media, and then they aired it, his response. He was sitting in his car, as he always is. Says, so you're not doing good, huh? He's not doing good. Because in the last 6 months, I was stabbed in the back, and I had my heart broken by 3 guys that I loved. 3 guys that I would have taken a bullet for. Obviously talking about Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, and now Sami Zayn. Says Sami talks about how much pain he's in. You don't know what real pain is, but I'll show you. Says, you say you want to go again? That's great. That's perfect. Said, let's do that. And I can't think of a better place than where it all started, in Canada. Said, cleared or not, I don't care. Toronto, Elimination Chamber, come find me, and then you'll know pain. Now, my question is this going to be a match, or is this going to end up being more of an angle? Because I've been saying for a while now, as everybody is mapping out WrestleMania in their heads and what matches are going to take place there or at the Chamber, and I've consistently said they're absolutely going to do something with Owens and Zayn in Toronto because it's Canada and you've got Randy Orton waiting in the wings. So it just would make sense you do Owens and Zayn at the Chamber and then Owens and Orton, assuming he's back, at WrestleMania. And I still feel that way. But I'm not so sure because they could have Owens show up waiting on Sami, who's still not medically cleared because it's only been a few weeks, right? Even though Cody came back in like 2 weeks from a package pile driver. I don't remember if Cody was cleared, though. See, that's the difference. Cody was back on TV within 2 weeks of taking that pile driver. I don't think we saw Cody wrestle, though, until the Royal Rumble, right? So it was a while before he was medically cleared. So it's entirely possible we're going to get some sort of unsanctioned match or unsanctioned brawl. And it ends up being more of an angle than a match, and maybe they are going to save the match for WrestleMania. Maybe Randy Orton is just either legitimately hurt with something completely unrelated, or maybe he's just taking a long vacation. Because if Randy Orton is going to be back in time for WrestleMania, it does not make any sense for his opponent to be anybody other than Kevin Owens, as the man who put him out of action and dropped him on his head and tried to end his career. And I honestly don't have any interest in turning it into a triple threat match or anything like that, because as is, it already stands, all of this talk about WrestleMania and the rumors of various WrestleMania matches, it already feels like you read some of these rumors and you think that we're getting a redo of WrestleMania 2000 with all the fucking multi-man matches that people are fucking fantasy booking here, which is ridiculous. I have no interest in seeing that. 1 or 2 is fine, but I don't need a card full of 3-ways and 4-ways and 6-ways. It's ridiculous. A one-on-one match. If we get Owens and Zayn, that's fine, but I'm guessing Randy Orton's not on the card. Nothing else makes sense for him if he's going to be on that show other than getting his hands on Kevin Owens. Now, footage aired of Triple H on the screen while Undertaker and Michelle McCool were in studio earlier this morning on ESPN Get Up. And he was there to make the surprise announcement that Michelle McCool will be inducted into the 2025 WWE Hall of Fame, WrestleMania weekend in Las Vegas. And then they aired some footage of McCool on that new LFG reality series that premieres this Sunday on A&E. I don't even think I have A&E, so I'm probably not watching it. But if I do, I'm not, don't expect me to be doing any formal reviews on LFG. If I can catch it, great. If not, I don't really give a shit. It's basically like a modern day Tough Enough is basically what it is. But they showed some footage of her in the ring, training, and teaching some things to some of the contestants on the show. I love how Chris Van Vliet just did an interview with Michelle McCool. Like literally it dropped days ago. And in that interview, he asked her about the WWE Hall of Fame. And obviously she said, oh, it would be an honor. I don't know, but it would be an honor. But he asked about Layla, right? Her former tag team partner in Lay Cool, being the one to induct her. And her response to that was, oh, no, I'd much rather we go in together. I want to go into the Hall of Fame as Lay Cool because that's how most people kind of associate me with Lay Cool, right? Not so much as a single star, but the stuff that she did with Layla, which absolutely makes sense. She's right about that. But here she is like, oh, no, I really would want to go in as part of Lay Cool. And then like not even a week later, here's Triple H on ESPN saying, we're putting Michelle McCool and only Michelle McCool into the WWE Hall of Fame. They're putting her in by herself. Look, I couldn't tell you a single match of hers as a singles match that stands out to me. But she was a great athlete. I think she was was she a volleyball player? I don't know if it was volleyball, but I think she played different sports when she was younger. So she was an athlete. And if you go back and you watch any of the matches that she had, and they showed some highlights of some of her old matches here, she's very athletic. At a time where not all the women that were on the roster were that athletic, right? She clearly had that background. And I'm not saying that she was, a bad wrestler or anything like that. But, if she were to come up today through the Performance Center, I think she would do quite well. I'm not going to say she would be just like the next Sol Ruca or anything like that, but I think she would do well. But she also got heat from a lot of fans. If you remember when she was wrestling for stealing the Styles Clash from AJ Styles, a lot of fans were very upset about that and very offended. Because all of a sudden that move in WWE was associated with her. And she stole it from AJ Styles. I'm sure AJ didn't give a shit. But back then, it wasn't so much about how good of a wrestler you were. Back then it was, even in like the mid to late 2000s, and really with Michelle, it was probably early 2010s. But even then, in WWE, it wasn't so much about how great of a wrestler you were if you were a woman. It was about how hot you were. They had the women's division at that time, but it wasn't treated with any degree of seriousness. As you could tell by storylines that she was involved in, like that fucking Piggy James stuff, right? There was a lot of bullshit that those women had to go through back then, creatively and otherwise. So, in a way, I feel bad for her because she came up at a time where if it was 5 years later, she would have been right smack in the middle of all that women's revolution bullshit they tried to brand, and all that. But like when Charlotte and Sasha and Bayley and Becky and they came up and they were working with the Naomis and the Natties and everything. And all of a sudden, it was starting to be taken more seriously. I think she would have done well. I think there were certain women from that prior era that you could have absolutely taken. Victoria's another one, Trish. Obviously, even someone like Candice Michelle. I remember Candice Michelle from when they brought her in to where she was when she was no longer there, actually got better. You could see the improvements, right? But you could see where there were women who, they wanted to wrestle, but it wasn't really about that. And so they were like, oh, okay, we're divas. So there's going to be a lot of discourse around whether or not she deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, or, again, people taking it seriously like it's treated like a real Hall of Fame where you have people voting on ballots and shit. That's not the way the WWE Hall of Fame works. The reality of the situation is the reason Triple H is going in this year is because they're running out of headliners. That's why he's going in now. Dave Bautista still hasn't gotten his induction. The Rock hasn't gone in yet. John Cena is going to go in, but they're not ready for that yet. So there are some names, Jericho, but obviously Jericho's not going in anytime soon. But the well is running dry. And so when it comes to headlining the Hall of Fame, that's how you end up with a Triple H this year instead of Triple H, going in five years from now. And then as far as everybody else, right, you need names. So you're going to start seeing names from that Divas era end up in the Hall of Fame. I'm surprised. If anything is surprising to me, it's that Victoria didn't go in this year, because Victoria's within the past year or two, Victoria's signed a Legends deal. And I thought that we might be seeing someone like her or, Eve Torres going into the Hall of Fame. I still think they will, but Triple H, in his little speech that he gave there, was like, well, Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, you guys surprised me. You ambushed me with the Hall of Fame announcement, so I'm turning it back around on you. And it's almost like, wait a minute. Like, is the implication here that the only reason this woman is going into the Hall of Fame now this year is because, well, Undertaker, he surprised me. He pulled one over on me, so I figure, well, I'll pull one over on you by putting your wife, in the Hall of Fame. It almost made it more about him. And that's why she's going in now. But no, I mean, whatever. I don't have an issue with it. I don't have an issue with it so long as, with all the news, of course, this week about Demolition signing, Legends deals. If they don't go in this year, I'm going to be throwing some fucking furniture. That's what I'm going to be doing. So as long as they go in, I'm okay. I'm okay. I just want them to get their recognition. I want to hear that music one more time before it's too late. Right? As we have found out with so many other wrestlers, you wait and you wait and you wait. And some of them, to them, it means something. And they're talking about how important it would be to them. And then they die. And it's like, you motherfuckers, right? And then they go in posthumously. It's like, fuck you. All right, that's what happened with Randy Savage. I don't want to see that happen to those two guys. Now is the time. We have the Motor City Machine Guns taking on Los Garza, -1. There was no Elektra Lopez, who was among the talent releases this past week, and they treated it exactly the way I expected. They didn't draw any attention to the fact that she was missing. There was no mention of her. It's like she never even existed. Now, Santos Escobar did come out with them. He didn't stick around for the match. Angel and Humberto, they were on offense when they went to a break about a minute into the match. Angel hit a moonsault onto Alex Shelley at ringside. Berto went for an in-ring moonsault on Chris Sabin, who got his feet up, and Sabin dove through Shelley's legs, and he hit a suicide dive out onto both opponents. Machine Guns followed up with their Skull and Bones finish on Berto, and then Shelley pinned him to pick up the win. If you wanted to know what it's like to watch two teams that are very capable and very talented, but watch two teams give you a 4 when you know they can give you an 8, then this is the match for you. The commercial break that gutted it didn't help. I mean, the commercial breaks tonight gutted a whole bunch of matches. But again, Los Garza, very talented team. Right? You let them off their leash, just like the Machine Guns. You let them off their leash, you give them time to go out there, they could have a great match. That's not what tonight was. It was a match. Nothing more to be said. Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga, they were still looking for Solo Sikoa in the back. Jacob was on the warpath. And they found Solo. He was sitting in the dressing room. He was just sitting there. And Jacob wanted to know, what's going on here. So Solo admitted that he let them down, that he needed to take some time away when he lost the Ula Fala and just needed some time off. And he said that all All of this will change tonight when Jacob goes in there and he qualifies for the Elimination Chamber, and then he can go on to win the Elimination Chamber. Jacob looked very nonplussed by all this. This is no longer the Jacob Fatu with his hands clasped together saying, I love you, Solo. Right? That guy is dead. Jacob isn't buying into this bullshit now. And so he doesn't look very happy. He goes to walk away, and Solo grabs him by the arm. And he says, Jacob, I love you. I'm sure there's some sort of fanfic about this on Twitter. I'd rather not know. So Jacob looks back at him, and he's staring at him. And then he leaves. So we didn't get the I love you Solo. Already. He hasn't said it yet, but we're already there. We're already at the I hate you Solo phase. He just hasn't articulated that yet. But the cracks are showing. But this was very sad. I mean, here on Valentine's Day, Solo just wanted some love, and Jacob would not give him the love that he was looking for. And so he walked away. I felt like I was watching one of those soap operas. They have the telenovelas, only this one is Samoan. I don't know what they call them. I don't know if they have, like, Samoan telenovelas. Maybe they do. Maybe they have a name. I don't know what they are. I wouldn't mind watching one. After this, we had the United States champion, Shinsuke Nakamura. The announcers laid out. He got his full entrance. The music, the mask. He's kneeling in the ring. Then he gets on the mic. And he says that he's waited. And he has been watching from the shadows for weeks while praying for a challenge. He's like Aleister Black back in the day when all he wanted was someone to fight. Fight me. Fight me. He just wanted a fight. He's been waiting for a warrior to test him. Now, of course, it's Nakamura cutting a live promo, so he got the what treatment from the fans. LA Knight made his entrance, and he spoke from the stage area at first. He accused Nakamura of playing two lies and a truth. He said that Nakamura was truthful when he said that he was hiding in the shadows, but he was lying when he said that he prayed for a challenge and a warrior to test him. Knight then recalled that Nakamura had cheated to beat him the last time they met. And Knight, by this point now, he's getting into the ring as he's cutting this promo. And he said that he's the test that Nakamura is looking for, and he's already failed it. And then, speaking of fail, we introduced The Miz into this segment. He interrupted LA Knight. And The Miz said that he was wrong when he said a year ago that Knight was a fad, but the WWE Universe is still eating out of the palm of his hand. He said that this proved that the fans are not educated. Well, I think we know that. All you got to do is look at some tweets online. It's not that hard to figure out. So they're not educated. He said the fans are not smart. They are basic. Miz asked the fans if they know who is worthy of a championship match, and Knight cut him off and assumed that Miz was going to declare himself worthy, and then he was going to go and he was going to run down all of his various accomplishments and all of his, all the things he usually goes out there and boasts about. Knight said that Miz has been saying the same things for over a decade now. And he said that it's also been that long since the Miz was relevant. You know what? When did Miz have that Intercontinental title reign? Was that 2016 or 2017? I think it was 2017. He was able, I mean, nobody other than him and Gunther really over the last decade plus have done this. But for a period of time, he actually did kind of sort of restore some real value to that Intercontinental Championship with that run that he had. Right. And then he was working Ziggler, and they had some great matches together. I want to say that was 2017. So almost a decade. Not quite a decade, though. But you can't say that he wasn't relevant then. He was. He did more. He did more for that title than anybody else had done in a long fucking time. So Knight suggested that Miz take a page out of John Cena's playbook and start a farewell tour because everybody is ready for him to go away. Miz then started acting like he was sobbing. He started crying. He started crying. Yeah. Because last week in his promo, if you remember, right before he insulted Drew McIntyre by calling him a crybaby, LA Knight kind of cut a little PSA, and he looked into the camera and he talked about how, you know, all the men it's okay to cry, right? It's okay to cry every now and then. So Miz now is fake crying. Talked about how, he asked the fans if they all wanted him to go away. Knight confirmed that he thinks it is okay to cry in the right situation. But Miz is at the top of the list of crybaby bitches. Hey, that's Rock's line. That was the final boss last year. Remember when he was calling all the Cody crybabies a bunch of crybaby bitches? He got that from The Rock. Not the only thing he's gotten from The Rock. But something else interesting here that I kind of caught, and I mean, they very quickly moved on from it, but in this promo, when he was talking about crybabies, LA Knight invoked Drew McIntyre's name, going back to their segment and their match from last week. But that was very interesting to me because clearly it looks as if they're moving on, right? They're building to another U.S. title match, I don't know, WrestleMania or not, between LA Knight and Shinsuke Nakamura. There were reports this week that talk internally has centered on the possibility of a Drew McIntyre LA Knight match now at WrestleMania in light of, what happened at the Rumble, and there was a lot of talk about some very real heat between the two of them, and now that there was at least chatter internally about them. Oh, what if we do Drew McIntyre and LA Knight? At the end of the day, I don't think they're going to deviate from their plan, especially with Damian Priest qualifying for the Chamber. I think we could see where this is headed. If you were to tell me, though, which match would I rather see? Not just in terms of the match, but like the build to the match. Drew McIntyre and LA Knight appeals to me a lot more than Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest does. So if they wanted to call an audible here and change the match, I don't know what that would mean for Damian Priest. I certainly don't need to see a fucking three-way. But which match do I think would appeal to me more? I think just the promos and the build to Knight and McIntyre far more than McIntyre and Priest. So if they want to change course, I'm okay with that. He did name drop him here. I'm not sure if they're actually going to go ahead and work LA Knight into whatever Drew McIntyre is doing. If it's me, though, I'm certainly considering it. So Miz said, at least I've been to the top. Miz said that Knight is not even on his radar. He said that if John Cena can call his shot, then so can he. And what he wants is a shot at the United States Championship. Miz looked down at Nakamura, who was just kind of on the outside watching like a fan. He was observing. Knight laughed at Miz for saying that he's not on his radar. And yes, by the way, this promo is still going on. This was a long promo. He's laughing at Miz for saying that he's not on his radar, and yet you just remembered something that I said on TV last week. So Knight thanked him for watching. Knight talked about how the title needs him and he'll make it shine. He said Miz sucks and he called him an impotent dork. Miz charged at him. Knight set up for a BFT. Miz slipped away though. And here comes Nick Aldis, the general manager of SmackDown. Says that Knight and Miz, you guys are looking for a fight. And Nakamura is looking for a challenger. And he booked LA Knight against The Miz right now. But not before a commercial break. During which, I don't know, might be market specific depending on where you are and where you live. But where I am, I got a commercial for AEW Grand Slam tomorrow, which I think actually might be taking place right now. So if any of you don't want to know what happened on the Grand Slam show tomorrow, be aware that it will be spoilers all over social media because the show is, if it's not in progress already, it will be shortly. And it's not actually airing for almost another 24 hours. So just be aware of that if you don't want to know and you want to go into the show fresh. But yeah, I got a commercial for Grand Slam tomorrow. Bliss fan, you did too. Okay, so I wasn't the only one then. I thought this segment would never end. I mean, this was way too long. And they just had a whole lot of nothing terribly interesting to say. But what this is the product of 3 hours. They need to stretch. And so you're going to get a segment or two like this on the show almost every week where you look at it and go, why is this segment happening? Why is this segment still going on? Because they have time that they have to fill. And that's what sucks. Now, it'd be one thing if they filled it with compelling, interesting segments, funny segments, where you turn around, it's like, man, I can't believe 90 minutes has gone by. It felt like 30. Yeah, it's just the opposite with this show. And this segment, you could feel it. Like, it just felt like it would never end. Knight got a few good digs in at him. I mean, nothing spectacular or anything like that, but it just dragged. And when they came back from break, they joined Knight against Miz already in progress. Nakamura was still lurking around ringside. Knight backdropped Miz to the floor and then followed him out with a sliding drop kick through the ropes. Nakamura distracted Knight. Miz was able to take control and sent Knight backwards into the ring steps. After another commercial, Knight hit a neck breaker followed with a snap power slam and landed a big elbow for a near fall. Miz tripped Knight up on the middle turnbuckle and then hit an avalanche clothesline and a flatliner out of the corner for his own near fall. And Miz went for the skull-crushing finale. Knight dropped out of it into a cradle for a near fall. Knight ran into a boot from Miz, but then hit the BFT out of nowhere. And you would think that he went for the pin, but no. He did not go for the pin, even though that's his finish. Instead, he did the elbow drop that he does, where he stands on the middle rope, and then he jumps up to the top and comes off with an elbow, and then he pinned the Miz. So I don't know if he had a brain fart and just did things in reverse by accident, or if it was designed that way. I don't think he's changing his finish, but for whatever reason, that's the way they did the finish, and he picked up the win. After the match was over, Nakamura gets into the ring as Knight is celebrating, and the two of them go nose to nose. And Nakamura is holding up the U.S. title, and then that's it. That's it. Played his music, Nakamura left, and that was the end of that. So it appears that LA Knight is headed right back to the United States Championship because, as we were talking about here in the review last week, there really isn't anything else for him to do going into WrestleMania. And that's where the whole Drew McIntyre thing comes in, because if you said to me, what do I think is the better spot for LA Knight to be in? If you're an LA Knight fan, right? Would you rather see him wrestling Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania, or would you rather see him wrestling Shinsuke Nakamura for the United States Championship? If you just want to see him go in there and pick up a win and get his belt back, then you would rather see him wrestle Nakamura. If I'm looking at this and going, what do I think is the bigger spot for him? It's a match with Drew McIntyre, even if he loses. Drew McIntyre is one of the biggest names in the company. And if you have a feud and a program heading into WrestleMania with McIntyre and Knight, that's a much better spot for Knight to be in. Which probably doesn't say much, frankly, for the U.S. title, but that's just how I feel. Again, I don't know if they're going to deviate from their plan. And if the idea is that it would turn into a multi-man match, then forget it. You just may as well leave things the way they are. Backstage, Nia Jax was talking with Candice LeRae when Alexa Bliss showed up. And she had her Lily doll with her that she was holding. And Bliss told Jax to have fun during her match with Tiffany tonight and said hopefully she will fare better than Candice did last week. Nia said she thinks she'll be fine because she's familiar with former friends betraying her. And we had, as Alexa was talking, we had more Wyatt glitches on the screen. We had the Wyatt 6 logo, I think, right? Is the moth logo. Appeared on screen very briefly, flashed quickly. Bliss said that she was talking to Lily about how fun it would be for her and Nia to have a WrestleMania rematch. And I had completely forgotten that they even had a match, but they did. WrestleMania 34. I was at that WrestleMania, and I have no memory of that being on the card. And I was in the fucking building. But yes, they had a match at WrestleMania back in 2018. It's been some time. Remember they did that whole story? It was Nia and Alexa, wasn't it? Where Nia beat her and then cut this promo in the ring. I think maybe Renee got into the ring to interview Nia, and she was like, "You've got to face your bullies. If you're bullied." I'm like, what is this? It's like a fucking after-school PSA or something. Like, I'm pretty sure it was Alexa that she beat, right, to win the championship. Maybe it was right after that WrestleMania, because I want to say it was on Backlash or whatever that, Extreme Rules or whatever that April pay-per-view would have been. April or May. God, that was so long ago. Think about that. That was almost a decade ago at this point. we're so far removed from that stuff, and that stuff doesn't feel like it was that far away, but it was. It's crazy. Andrade confronted The Miz as The Miz was walking in the back. And Andrade told Miz that he could teach him something. And then he walked away. Speaking of stories that are just, I mean, what are we doing here? You know? Hey, at least they have something for Andrade to do. It's not anything that I really give a shit about. Because all this is leading to is Andrade against The Miz. Okay, that's all it's leading to. So, like, who could possibly care? Carmelo Hayes walked up and told Miz, man, people like Andrade, they don't respect people like us. And Miz was like, yeah, you're right. And he pitched the idea, you know what? You and I should team up. And then he did Melo's catchphrase. He goes, you're a Melo don't miss, right? And he put his fist out for a fist bump. And Melo just looked at him, shook his head, and he just left The Miz hanging. And with that, Carmelo Hayes was out to the ring for a huge match tonight on SmackDown because it was Carmelo Hayes one-on-one against R-Truth. This was set up by a segment backstage earlier in the day where Hayes apologized for showing Tozawa that I'm him. And R-Truth misinterpreted this and said, no, you're not. You're Carmelo. Tozawa is Tozawa. And this went back and forth for a little bit. Abbott and Costello, they are not. But that's what led to this match here. I don't know if this was as bad as Chris Jericho accidentally spilling coffee on Kane and that leading to a big feud and a pay-per-view match. But yeah, that was a pretty shitty way to set up a match for tonight. So Hayes jumped Truth at the start of this, cut off his John Cena-inspired comeback. Hayes escaped an attitude adjustment attempt and then came off the top with his nothing but net scissor kick, and he pinned R-Truth to win the match. I'm going to say this right now. If he would have lost to R-Truth tonight, that would have been it. Like, that would have been it. As if he hasn't absorbed enough losses. If he would have gone out there tonight and lost to fucking R-Truth, then I wouldn't even know what to say to that. So, thankfully for him, that did not happen. And he actually won. That's 2 weeks in a row now, right? So, on the plus side, he now has back-to-back wins over Tozawa and R-Truth. On the other hand, they are wins over Tozawa and R-Truth. What this man needs are a couple of wins that he could string together over people that are actually pushed and some real competition on this show. But he needs a direction more than anything else. Right now, he has none. The only direction that Carmelo Hayes is in is down. And think about this. This man was drafted, the number 1 draft pick on SmackDown, almost a year ago. He was drafted almost a year ago. You can't tell me that in a year almost, you can't come up with a solid direction for this guy. Like, I can understand you call him up initially, and when he first comes up, he's racking up wins against people like Truth and Tozawa. This is something that should have been done last summer. But here we are now, heading into WrestleMania. He's been up here for almost a year, and I'm sitting here trying to extract something positive out of this by saying, well, at least he's beaten Tozawa and R-Truth, right? You know your career is in a weird fucking spot and not a good one when that's the best praise that I could heap on this. He needs a direction. It's pretty clear he's not going to have any sort of big WrestleMania match, but WrestleMania or not, he needs a direction. If they want him to be a real player on this show, there's no excuse for him to be in the spot that he's in right now. It is completely unacceptable. As someone who was the number 1 draft pick on this show, if you judge it by that, then he's been a fucking failure. So they better figure out what to do with this guy, because he can be a player on this brand, but the longer this sort of thing drags on, it's going to be hard for him to break out of that. You don't want that. You don't want that to. You don't want him to get Zigglered. You know, I don't want to see that. We got another Street Profits video. I think this video is the same one that they aired last week on the show. I'm pretty sure. But it was really good. And Angelo Dawkins spoke and said once he's fully cleared, he says that they'll put everybody in the dirt. Montez Ford, he loves the passion, and everyone's going to know their anger and frustration. They've been acting very happy while nothing is okay. He goes, well, we're going to show the world, and Lord have mercy on their souls because the prophets want the smoke. So this was a fine video. Again, I don't think it was any different than the one they showed us last week, but hopefully for their sake, this is all building to them winning the title since they have openly talked about the fact that the Street Profits have not been tag team champions in almost 5 years on this show. Elsewhere, Pretty Deadly was being interviewed by Byron Saxton. They're going to get their tag team title match with DIY next week. And they say they're done being underestimated. That brings over Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, who say they're just disappointed with them. And Ciampa promised that their dreams will die next week, but they will make sure that they get their moment of silence. So we're all talking about WrestleMania and who's going where and everything else, right? McIntyre and LA Knight, Nakamura and Carmelo Hayes. What are we thinking as far as the tag teams are concerned? Because it seems to me we're going to end up with DIY and the Machine Guns and Pretty Deadly and the Street Profits and Los Garza and who else? Who else? The Wyatts? And they're all just going to dump them into one match to get them all on the card. Right? That's not a direction. That's we don't know what to do with all these people, so let's put them all in one big fucking match. Wouldn't be surprised if we got one big fucking 5 or 6 way ladder match again, similar to what we got last year. I hope not. I hope not. 3 teams maximum. And let the Street Profits win the tag team titles at WrestleMania. That's what I would do. But I said it earlier. I'm starting with all these rumors, and that's all they are right now, right? We really only have 2 matches officially announced for WrestleMania. But I'm getting WrestleMania 2000 vibes from some of the shit that I'm hearing, and I'm not liking it because that WrestleMania was no good. Every single match but one, I think, on that show might have been Miss Kitty against Terry or something, but every other match on that card was a fucking multi-man match. It's ridiculous. Hopefully that's not what we're getting this year. We had Tiffany Stratton against Nia Jax for the WWE Women's Championship with Charlotte Flair shown in the back. She was watching this match very closely because she had not, up until this point, made her choice. She could very well end up challenging one of these 2 women for the championship, depending on how this match goes. So after a commercial, Stratton fought her way out of a chinlock. Very exciting. Stratton and Nia, they went for now this was bad. They went for some kind of a powerbomb into a sunset flip spot. So the idea was that Nia had Tiffany up in a powerbomb position, and Tiffany was going to float over and take Nia over into a sunset flip or a sunset bomb, right? That was the idea. And whatever they were trying, it failed badly, and it looked awful. Nia then caught Tiffany going for a handspring elbow and dumped her, and then dropped the leg on her on her ribs. Nia put Tiffany on her shoulders for a Super Samoan drop, but Tiffany slipped out, tripped up Nia, and then came off the top with a double stomp for a near fall. So Nia made a comeback.
Get the body in the proper position for the strapation dudes.
Perfect super chat for Valentine's Day. Who wants the strapation on Valentine's Day? Not me. And definitely not from that fucking guy. Hey, El Masse, thank you for the $28 super chat. Oh, no, he says, I got dumped today. About to buy a box of real American beer and drown my sorrows, brother. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. If you're going to drown your sorrows in liquor, you could do a hell of a lot better than real American beer. All I know is I had 2 real American beers over the span of a few days because they were presented to me, and then I ended up having what felt like the plague. So, yeah, I would steer clear of that. I mean, if you're going to drown your sorrows, at least do it in the good stuff, not the cheap stuff. I'm sorry to hear that, though. But that's okay. We welcome you here. We're going to take you in. I don't know who dumped you, but we will take you in here on this stream. No worries. You're always welcome here, as you know. Nia got Tiffany on her shoulders. and she's on the ropes, and she hits an avalanche Samoan drop, and this was very scary. As she falls backwards with Tiffany, Tiffany put her left arm out, I guess to kind of brace her fall. Instead of just taking the bump and landing flat back, she puts her arm out. I have no idea how she did not break her arm. I thought for sure she was going to snap her arm. And they showed a slow motion replay of this. And I was like, she is the luckiest person on the face of the earth, especially heading into WrestleMania. She just won the title. Can you imagine? Breaks her fucking arm, has to forfeit the title out of WrestleMania, loses her match with Charlotte Flair. Like, it would be awful. I don't know how she didn't break her arm. I don't even know. I don't know why she put, maybe it's just instinct. I don't know why she put her arm out like that, but that almost ended very badly. So Nia followed that up with a leg drop off the middle rope and then covered Tiffany, but again, the champion kicked out. And that took us to our second commercial break of the match. They came back. Tiffany hit a moonsault to the floor onto Nia, but not really. She basically missed her, so it was like a Charlotte Flair moonsault. Then back in the ring, Tiffany hit a swanton bomb and covered. Nia kicked out. Tiffany tried to power Tiffany. Well, that would be interesting. She tried to power Nia. Boy, we almost had one of those mirror matches from Be the Booker. Tiffany tried to power Nia up onto her shoulders, and she collapsed under her weight. This was the Ryback spot from the match with Mark Henry at WrestleMania 29. But what was funny about this is she collapses right under the weight of Nia, right? That's why she collapsed. Wade Barrett on commentary says she collapsed under, and then he stopped himself. And like 2 seconds went by. I could almost like feel the processor in his head trying to figure out, okay, how do I articulate this? And he says that she collapsed under the overwhelming force of Nia Jax. So that's what we'll call it. We'll say that she collapsed under the overwhelming force of Nia Jax. Well done. See, Wade Barrett is a very distinguished gentleman here. So Nia dragged Tiffany to the corner, set up for the Annihilator, but she took too long. Tiffany got under her, tried for a power bomb. Nia would not let go, though, of the top rope, and she kind of went like this, and she headbutted Tiffany. So Tiffany goes down, and then like a second later, Nia does the Annihilator. No one's there, but she just falls flat on her ass. I guess she knocked herself woozy. And she fell on her hole, and it was very strange. It just looked ridiculous. Tiffany then dropped Nia coming off the ropes with a spine buster. And then she set up for the prettiest moonsault ever when Candice LeRae got up on the apron, interrupted, and Charles Robinson at that point had no choice because he was looking right at it, and he had no choice but to call for the disqualification. So they got a lot of time. They gave them just over 15 minutes here for this match. They went through 2 commercial breaks. It was definitely not without its messy moments. It had a few of those. And not as clean as the matches that Nia had with Naomi. Those were much better matches. But I thought it was solid. I don't know that I liked this match as much as some other people might have, but it was solid. Nia hit the Annihilator after the match was over, and Candice left the ring to go retrieve a steel chair. And as she was trying to climb back into the ring with it, who should appear? I thought Charlotte was coming out, but instead, I guess she was coming out of the crowd because there she was, Trish Stratus. And Trish Stratus stops Candice and sends her into the side of the announce desk. Trish gets into the ring. She shoves Nia off the ropes, and she tumbles out to the floor. And Trish goes to check on Tiffany Stratton. Candice gets back in the ring. Trish fights her into the corner, but Nia returned to the ring and then squashed Trish in the corner. Officials now poured into the ring to try to calm the chaos and get Nia and Candice out of the ring, which they did. So as Nia and Candice left, they're on like the stage area now, and we hear Charlotte Flair's music. And out walks the winner of the 2025 Women's Royal Rumble. And she took her sweet time coming down to the ring. She gets into the ring. Tiffany is still laying on the mat holding her ribs because she took an annihilator. So she's laying there. Nobody else is in the ring except Charlotte now. And Charlotte walks around her body, asks for a microphone. She looks over. There's a chair laying on the mat. She picks up the chair. She opens the chair and she sits down in the chair right at the feet, at the body of Tiffany down below. And she asks Tiffany to wake up over and over and over again in the most annoying way possible. So I sometimes make reference to that infamous promo of hers where she came out and she went, uh-oh, right? I wanted to drive a stake through one ear and out the other. Uh-oh, right? It was in that voice. It was in that voice. She goes, Tiffy, wake up, Tiffy. Over and over. I almost muted my audio. Like, it just was driving me nuts. And so all this to get Tiffany's attention so that she could lean over and say, I choose you. Like she's a fucking Pikachu or something. I choose you. See you at WrestleMania. Now let's take it back here to the match itself. The disqualification finish, right? Yeah, it sucks, but it leaves the door open for them to run this match back one more time, sometime between now and WrestleMania. So we're going to get another championship match between Nia and Tiffany at some point. It's not going to be at the Chamber, and we'll talk about why in a little bit, but we're definitely going to get that match. So that leaves the door open for that. Charlotte Flair choosing Tiffany Stratton for WrestleMania was the worst kept secret, right? I mean, I've been talking about this for months and months, and I'm sure the WWE had the same idea months and months ago, right? When I first started talking about it, right? And a lot of other people did too. It just seemed like it's a fresh opponent for Charlotte. A lot of people make a lot of comparisons between them. They're both blonde and they're both very athletic. And it's a fresh match. And it's kind of like old generation and new generation in a way. Instead of just running back the same thing with Charlotte and Rhea or Charlotte and whoever else, because she's wrestled almost everybody else at this point. I don't know that Charlotte has had a pay-per-view match, though, with Bianca. They had that one match on Raw that was very good many years ago. I don't know if they've done Charlotte and Bianca on a PLE. I don't think so. But that obviously wasn't going to happen this year anyway. So it's the obvious match. It is the correct match. It's a match that I think has the potential to be excellent, even though Tiffany is still, I mean, by comparison, she's still pretty new at this. But if you are a Tiffany Stratton fan, then you have to know this is not going to end well for her. If this is the match at WrestleMania, which it is not going to end well for Tiffany Stratton. I mean, it's just clear as day. And people are going to be upset by that, but, you know, look, I don't know why you would expect anything else from this match. You know, Charlotte Flair is going to end up with that championship. Even if it wasn't at WrestleMania, if they had a rematch on the next show, she's getting the title, right? We know this. We know she's getting the title. She missed over a year. It's been a while since she's been champion. She won the Royal Rumble. We know how this story ends. And that doesn't mean it's the end of Tiffany Stratton. It means, actually, in many ways, it's just the beginning of their story. If it works out that way. Now, I would love to see Tiffany go in there and beat her, but I know better than that. It's still the right match to do, though. I like the fact that it's a fresh match that we haven't seen before, but yeah, that's not going to end well for her. Now, backstage, Nick Aldis called Bianca Belair and Naomi, the women's tag team champions, into his office to let them know that there has been a development in the Jade situation. Yes, Jade has been spending her weeks in developmental, which is where she should have been from day one. It's not a bad idea. She's been at the PC every week for weeks now. Why do you think that is? Training, trying to get her ready to get to that next level for when she comes back. Why they're only first doing this now, I have no idea. That's where she should have been. But Nonetheless, we have a development in the Jade story. Aldis had a video to show them that he said was shot on a cell phone, and it was sent in anonymously. And this was great. He goes to play the video, right? They have a big screen, and he's got a remote in his hand, and they're all like looking, okay, let's see what this video is, right? They're all looking very intently. Pushes a button because you got the SmackDown logo on the screen, and nothing happens. We're looking at a SmackDown logo, and they're standing there, and I'm looking at Bianca, and you can see Bianca is like giving the side eye, like looking out, like, oh, what's going on here? Nothing. So then he hits the button again. He realizes, like, oh shit. He hits the button again. 2 seconds go by. Finally, the video plays. I don't know what happened here. You better change your batteries. You got to get some AAAs. Finally, the video plays. And the video shows Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez running away. They're nearby in the parking lot, and they're scurrying away. It's the shot of the parking lot when they loaded Jade into the ambulance. If you remember, Naomi was out there. I think Bianca, Bailey showed up, I believe. It was that ambulance scene. What we didn't see was that in the background on the other side, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez were there. Now remember, there was a backstage attack, a parking lot attack on NXT. When Rhea Ripley, she injured her orbital socket. They shot a very quick angle that aired on NXT. And who were the ones running away from the scene of the crime? Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. So they have attacked people before, backstage in the parking lot. But they didn't actually show Jade being pushed or being beaten up or anything like that. This was kind of the aftermath of that. Now, this doesn't mean that Liv and Raquel were the ones to attack Jade Cargill, but Naomi and Bianca, I mean, they take this to be definitive proof that they are the culprits of this heinous crime here. Dumb babyface syndrome. It's a phrase that I coined many, many years ago on the Sound Off. Many years ago. DBS strikes yet again. They've just bought into it, hook, line, and sinker, that we have our answer. We know who attacked Jade. See? Even Naomi was like, see, I told you it wasn't me. People thought it was me, she says, right? Yeah, this guy right here. And guess what? I'm still saying it's you. Nothing has changed. Bianca said that her and Naomi were headed to Raw this Monday to handle Liv and Raquel themselves. That, ladies and germs, is what you call a misdirection. That's what that was. I'm not buying it. Go back and watch this again. Watch Naomi when Aldis mentions that, oh, we have video. And the nervous look on her face. I'm telling you, my mind hasn't changed. But that's okay. They want to throw a little red herring out there to throw people off the scent. We know Liv and Raquel are going to be in line to win those tag team titles soon. So I'm not surprised that they are being roped into this. But are they the culprits? No, they're not. Some people think Bianca may also. It might be a dual thing where it's Bianca and Naomi. I'm still saying Naomi. I'm saying Naomi. So Tiffany Stratton was interviewed by Byron Saxton in the back and was asked about Charlotte Flair choosing her for WrestleMania. Stratton said that it was hard to focus on WrestleMania after what Nia and Candice did to her. Trish Stratus showed up, and she made a pitch for them to team up in Toronto at the Elimination Chamber to take on Nia and Candice. And Tiffany was just giddy about this. And she asked, so if we do this, that means it's going to be Tiffy and Trishy time. And Trish was like, yeah. Yep. So she confirmed that was going to be the case. So there's your answer. Now we know what Trish Stratus is going to be doing on that show. She's going to be in a tag team match. And, it's interesting as far as who goes over in that match. Because you're in Toronto, right? And they just did this angle tonight where Nia attacked Tiffany when the match was over and gave her the Annihilator and left her laying. And there's still a couple more weeks. I think there's 2 more SmackDowns left to go. So, they could turn it right back around and have Tiffany get one over on Nia. But I'm thinking that has to be a win for Tiffany and Trish. I mean, how do you send Tiffany and Trish out there in Toronto for a match where you have Candice LeRae on the other side of the ring just begging to be pinned? How could this match go any other way? Right? You could still do Tiffany and Nia in a singles rematch for the title on SmackDown in March at some point, and have Candice be the one to take the losing fall in that match. I mean, how could it go any other way? Gonna beat Trish in Toronto. If this were Vince, Vince would beat Trish in Toronto. And then he'd probably make her get down on her hands and knees again and bark like a dog. But in this case, I think it should be a safe win for the babyfaces. So the announcers were running down the confirmed title matches that we have for WrestleMania this year, because we really only have 2 matches confirmed so far for WrestleMania 41. One of those matches, of course, is Charlotte Flair challenging Tiffany Stratton for the Women's Championship, so that we got the graphic for it. And then we got the graphic also for the World Heavyweight Championship match, which is going to be Jey Uso challenging Gunther. Cut back live in the back, we see Jimmy Uso is applauding while watching the WrestleMania lineup shown on the TV screen. And he was very happy for his brother. Drew McIntyre sidles up next to him and taunts him about how poorly his career is going. Said, that should have been you going to the Elimination Chamber, but you lost. You could have won the Elimination Chamber. It could have been you challenging Cody Rhodes. It could have been one brother challenging for one title, the other brother challenging for the other championship. Oh my God. Can you imagine? You see the discourse online around Jey Uso and all the shit that's being slung at that guy. Now imagine if they put Jimmy in the other title match. I think the whole social sphere would have a meltdown if that happened. Super kicks galore at WrestleMania this year. I'm still enjoying all the people crapping all over Jay, even though he comes out and has every fucking person on their feet in the building every single week. And they still can't believe that Triple H would book Jey Uso in a World Heavyweight Championship match at WrestleMania. They just can't understand it. I can't imagine why. So Drew was having fun here mocking Jimmy, and Jimmy walked away. Or at least it looked like it. Because as soon as Drew turned, he got super kicked. And then Jimmy walked away. And they did confirm that on SmackDown next week, it will be Drew one-on-one with Jimmy Uso. So that match is official. And they closed with the triple threat Elimination Chamber qualifying match. This was their version of Meat Madness. Damian Priest, Braun Strowman, and Jacob Fatu. Priest and Fatu, they knocked Strowman to the floor with a double shoulder block. And this left Priest and Fatu alone in the ring for a little while. While Fatu and Priest were brawling, Strowman ran in with a crossbody and then sent both men out to the floor with clotheslines. We got a split-screen commercial break. After that, Fatu sent Strowman into the ring steps and then went back into the ring to go deal with Damian Priest. And Priest took Fatu out with a spinning heel kick. He tried for an old-school rope walk. But as he was standing on the top rope and he had Fatu by the arm, Braun Strowman reappeared and he goozled Priest. He grabbed him by the throat. This all ended up with Priest coming off the top rope, landing on Jacob's shoulders, and Jacob gave him a Samoan drop. Fatu then went up and hit a swanton bomb on Priest, only got a near fall. The fans treated Fatu here like a total babyface. I mean, they were chanting his name at the beginning of this match. They were not chanting for Damian Priest. They were not chanting for Braun Strowman, but they were chanting Fatu over and over again. And he's out there doing spots like this. These are babyface spots. He was even playing to the crowd, too. He was trying to get the crowd amped up like a babyface. But these moves, these moonsaults and the swanton, everything that he does, like he has it's a very fan favorite arsenal that he employs in his matches. Because when you do big flashy moves like that, no one wants to boo a guy like this doing moves like that. So, I mean, he's already halfway there anyway, as far as, or more than halfway, as far as being a babyface. It's going to be very interesting if they book him and Solo at WrestleMania, which is what I think they're doing, clearly. I would imagine that Jacob would have to be positioned as the babyface in that match. So it's not going to be very hard to get the crowd to cheer for this guy. But I knew that was going to be the case anyway. From day one when he first came in, I said, this guy's going to be a babyface. It won't be very long. It's exactly what I said. It won't be very long. The fans will organically turn him babyface even if the company does not. And you're already seeing it. So Fatu went for another Samoan drop. Priest escaped. And Fatu hit a super kick, then set Priest up for a superplex. Strowman ran in. They did the Tower of Doom powerbomb spot. USA Network then muted the audio for several seconds to censor the holy shit chants because we can't hear that. We're not allowed. They'll get in trouble. Strowman caught Fatu with a big back body drop. Fatu dropped to the floor. Priest gave him a flatliner against the announce desk. Strowman then pounced Priest over the announce desk. He chokeslammed Jacob Fatu on top of the announce desk. And the table didn't break. It didn't even budge. They're copying AEW now. They're borrowing those solid oak announce tables. That's what they're doing. Back inside, Fatu took control on Strowman. He hit him with a series of hip attacks in the corner. Fatu then grabbed a chair, which the crowd cheered for, and is legal in a triple threat match. Fatu wrapped the chair around Strowman's neck. He went for another hip attack, but Strowman caught him with a boot on his way in. Strowman then wrapped the chair around Fatu's neck when he got him down in the corner, and he screamed at Fatu, said, eye for an eye, Jacob, hearkening back to what happened at Saturday night's main event. When Jacob took out Strowman, he had Strowman bleeding by the end of that segment, internal bleeding. So now he's about to get his revenge, but before he could crush him in the corner, Solo Sikoa appeared on the apron from out of nowhere. And he caught Strowman with a Samoan spike. This immediately brought out Cody Rhodes with his music, because he can't come out without his music. Cody comes charging down to the ring, and he immediately makes a mad dash for Solo Sikoa. So Solo now, all right? Solo ends up taking out Tama Tonga by accident because Tama had Cody. Here comes Solo for a Samoan spike. Cody ducks, though. And so Solo accidentally takes out Tama Tonga. Jacob Fatu sees this. And he rolls out of the ring and he gets up in Solo's face. What's going on here? So then Jacob, I think it was Damian Priest, ends up knocking Jacob into Solo. Meanwhile, Cody lays out Tama Tonga on the floor with a crossroads. But Solo inadvertently gets knocked into Jacob. So Solo goes down. Jacob then gets sent over the barricade by the timekeeper's area by Damian Priest. So now Solo is out of, or Jacob is out of the picture. Strowman back in the ring, scoops up Priest as soon as he gets back in the ring. Scoops up Priest for a power slam. Priest slips out. And he hits a South of Heaven chokeslam on the big guy to pick up the win, thus sending Damian Priest to the Elimination Chamber. He fills one of the last remaining spots, the second to last spot, the penultimate spot, has been filled by Damian Priest. That's one spot left to go. It will go to Seth Rollins. It'll be Finn Balor or Seth Rollins. It's going to be Seth Rollins. And that's going to be your field for the Elimination Chamber match. After the match was over, Cody and Damian were in the ring together and they shook hands. And then they gazed up at the WrestleMania sign. There it is. Teasing. They were teasing a WrestleMania match that absolutely 100% will not be happening this year. But they teased it anyway. And that's how SmackDown went off the air. So they ended on a much higher note than I can say the rest of the show had. Because I thought for the most part, this show was just an absolute fucking bore to sit through. It had its moments. You know, the women's title match I thought was solid. I didn't think it was great, but it wasn't bad. And the main event I thought was fun. The main event was the best part of the entire show. It was a newsworthy show because we had Charlotte making her choice. We had this dissension between Solo and Jacob there, that tension that they were kind of building throughout the show. And we had a couple of people qualify for the Elimination Chamber. We had the red herring there with the whole Jade thing. Like, things happened on this show. It wasn't like a filler show. It just wasn't terribly interesting or exciting. And the 3 hours had a lot to do with that. You know, if you cut some of the crap out and you condense this to 2 hours, tonight would have been a much better show. But it wasn't. And so, unfortunately, it was just another SmackDown where I'm sitting here going, my God, I can't believe we have another hour left. It's like the Moxley soundbite that I have in my intro, right? Or I used to. I don't know if I still do. You know, from his audiobook. Oh, my God. We're only an hour into this. We have 2 more hours of this, right? That's me sitting here watching SmackDown every week, which has become, over the last few weeks, the worst of the 3 main shows every single week on TV. And we're heading into WrestleMania. It shouldn't be this way, right? People should be excited right now. Where's the excitement on this show? Where is the excitement? Is it because The Rock is not there? We can't have an exciting show because The Rock is not on the show? You got problems if that's the case. Let's take a look at the Twitter poll. What did you think of SmackDown for Valentine's Day? 71.5% thumbs up, 28.5% thumbs down. That is the Twitter vote for SmackDown tonight. 71% of people are easily entertained. There you go. But hey, it's the voice of the people. That's what they think. They think what they think. I think what I think. And that's the beauty of it. I don't give that show 71%. John was right all along. Well, Moxley was right. Who knew? Moxley was right. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at your super chat. We are, by the way, at 363 likes. So we are short of the goal. We are short of the Be the Booker goal for tonight. So get those likes up. All right, let's see how much you guys truly love the Solomonster here on Valentine's Day. Let's take a look at your super chats. We've got Dorenzo coming in. Says, hey, Solomonster. How would you feel if WWE decided to induct matches into the Hall of Fame, and which match would you induct into the Hall of Fame? I don't think they need to induct matches into the Hall of Fame. I think it's silly. If they're going to induct matches into the Hall of Fame, then the first match to be inducted into the Hall of Fame is Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3. Period. End of story. If that isn't the first match that goes in, then they're doing it wrong. But I really don't think we need to see matches inducted into the Hall of Fame. Holiday 197 says, hey Solo, are there any wrestling specials that you would recommend to watch covering incidents concerning backstage politics? I recently stumbled on the Jeff Jarrett WCW title incident with Hulk Hogan. You stumbled onto the incident, or you stumbled onto the Dark Side of the Ring episode covering the incident? Because I mean, they've done Dark Side of the Ring episodes on like the Montreal Screwjob, and you want the definitive kind of special or documentary on that. You need to go watch Wrestling with Shadows. That's what you need to watch. If you haven't watched Wrestling with Shadows, then make sure you do that. Prince Vegeta 95. The 9.99. Thank you, Prince Vegeta. All the people that bitched about Jay winning the Rumble. I'd rather see Jay have a Cody-like reign with the belt than ever seeing Solo Sikoa in the main event or challenging for a title again. I still don't need to see Jey Uso having a Cody run. I mean, Jey Uso is champion for a year. No. Sidro. Hey, Sidro is with us tonight. He's traded up. When you cross a snail with a porcupine, you get a slowpoke. Never ends. It never ends. It just never ends. Quizzical one. What is Brock Lesnar's favorite keyboard function? Refresh, because it always requires hitting an F5. Happy Friday, Solo. Happy Friday, Quizzical one. Yes. That is very clever. Sidro has to up his game now to keep up with it. Josh Carlos, 98. Tiffy's title run is going to be shorter than her holding the briefcase. Charlotte in the bank. Royal Rumble winner is going to strike at WrestleMania. Awful. Get ready for it. At least if you see it coming, it won't like be out of nowhere, right? So you'll have time to sort of maybe not accept it, but just it'll lessen the blow if you see it coming. That way you won't be surprised. Holiday 197. Where do you see Gunther going if he loses the world title at WrestleMania? I could see a personal feud with Ludwig Kaiser for a few months. But which big star would be next for Gunther for a feud in your view? On Raw? There's a certain someone who just got moved over to Raw that I think would be a great opponent for Gunther. I would have loved to have seen that be the World Heavyweight Championship match at WrestleMania. His name is AJ Styles. That's who. Sidro. Girl, will you tie my shoes while I'm on the toilet? Guy says, you can't be serious. Girl says, I shit, you not. I shit you, KNOT. Yeah, okay. All right. And vaping is weird. You walk past a group of dudes who look gangster but smell like strawberry muffins. Well, actually, that is actually true. Thank you, Sidro. Unbelievable. It's right. Get those tomatoes ready. I don't see enough tomatoes in the chat. Brandon Proctor, 32 months of channel membership. Didn't get a chance to say it before. So congrats on 84K. 16,000 more to go until you finally hit the mighty 100K. I know we can do it. I don't know. We're having trouble hitting 400 likes here tonight. You're talking about 100,000 subscribers. It's not going to happen at this rate. Thank you, Brandon, though. I appreciate that. Chris O'Neill says, video be damned. I still believe it's Bianca or Naomi that attacked Jade. I think we get the answer at the Chamber. Yeah, I still can't believe that they would turn Bianca heel. So I'm sticking with Naomi. We got Awesome Iconic with the $2. No message, just showing some love. Hey, Awesome Iconic, thank you. Appreciate it. Dom Joseph. Should Punk versus Rollins versus Roman have something on the line? #1 contendership for a world title. No, I don't think I don't think it's necessary. I think that it's sort of understood, given the nature of how big they are as stars, that if you win that match, you're going to be in line for a championship match. I don't know that you need to say that it's for a title shot. Bobbert Reviews, thank you for the $15. Happy Valentine's Day, Bobbert. Natasha Rigby with the $40 Goulberg super chat. Happy Valentine's Day, Solomonster, and to all here tonight. Showing some love despite a slow show. Figured money is better than chocolate. Hopefully things will pick up soon on SmackDown because 3 hours is feeling like work. It is a slog, is what it is. Natasha, I hope you had a very happy Valentine's Day. I don't know if or how you celebrated, but I hope it was a good one. Mr. Rod with the 20. June and July cannot come fast enough because these 3-hour SmackDowns aren't cutting it. My goodness, it's hard to stay awake for this shit. Well, I stay awake so you don't have to. George Seckman. What did the beaver say to the tree? It's been nice gnawing you. All right, dude, that one is just that one deserves tomatoes. That was bad. That was bad. Hulkling 93, quadruple idiot ball. Nia, Candice, and Bianca Naomi. Also, WWE is not tapping into the true potential of Chelsea as US champion. Where are the skits and segments to accentuate her personality? I don't know. That's a good question. That's kind of where she shines, and we're not really getting any of that. She's just coming out and having throwaway matches. I don't see how that really accomplishes anything. Boots, it's Valentine's Day, and Charlotte had the great opportunity to drop a classic quote from The Simpsons. I choose you. Thank you, Boots. Salute, sir. In the chat, I see you. Arabian Night 2000, are you surprised that Josh Alexander chose AEW over WWE? He probably got a bigger offer and didn't want to move to Orlando. He also wants to work New Japan. AEW gives him that perk. Well, it is not confirmed. So again, you're going based on reports. Nothing's been confirmed yet about where he's landing. But it does sound like he's on his way to AEW. We heard that about Speedball Mike Bailey, though, and he still hasn't popped up anywhere. But if he's going to AEW, then, you know, good for him. I mean, again, AEW can offer you, other than maybe more money, they could offer you certain perks like being able to work New Japan, and that is going to be a big deal for people who want to work there. I'll be honest with you. There are certain people who I would look at and go, okay, they're tailor-made for WWE. Like, they should go to WWE. If you're going to get comparable money, go to WWE. I look at Josh Alexander, and my first instinct is he'll be a better fit for AEW. Now, I don't know if Tony Khan will, you know, end up booking him in a way that makes him into the star that he was in TNA, because in TNA, he was a top guy. I don't know that he'll be a top guy in AEW, but I'm pretty sure he was not going to be a top guy in WWE, not on the main roster. I don't see him being as good of a fit there. There's just something there that tells me in my gut he'll be a better fit in AEW than he would in WWE. I don't know if that's the same feeling he has, or if it's just strictly a financial thing, or like you said, maybe he wants the ability to be able to work indies and work elsewhere. Although he basically said he was done with the indies, right? I mean, he basically just kind of retired from the indies. So I don't know. I don't know where his head is at, but I don't look at this as some kind of big miss, like a swing and a miss on his part. I don't know that Josh Alexander would get the kind of push in WWE that people think he would have. I think in NXT he would have. But, you know, he's probably looking beyond NXT. But let's see what happens. No announcement has been made yet, so for all we know, he may yet end up in WWE. We don't know. Innuendo. Celebrating 4 months of channel membership. Fatu may not, but I still love Solo. Been watching some old pay-per-views, and I'm currently in 2019. What is the worst show or match that you can remember from 2019? Chat, would you like to let Innuendo know what the worst match was from 2019? Innuendo, they will fill you in. I'll let them be the answer, man. Grant Hudson with 13 months of channel membership. Glad you're better, Solo. Michelle's stuff with Melina was good. They actually got heat once for trying to work like the guys. Yeah, well, she told that story actually, I think, in the Chris Van Vliet interview, where Was it Melina? I wasn't sure who she was working with. I thought maybe it was Victoria that she was working with, but whoever she was working with, they had a match on TV that apparently was good, and they went backstage and they were getting changed and everything, and somebody came in and said, you need to get dressed and go back out there and redo your match. And they were like, what? Redo the match? Why? And whoever this person was, the agent or whatever, said that your punches looked better than the guys. And they couldn't understand that, because how is that our fault? It's like, that sounds like a you problem. That's not really a me problem. And she's right, but that's the way things were back then, because the women were not a priority, and you can't outshine the men. So think about the logic behind that. But that's what I was talking about earlier when it comes to that era that Michelle McCool came up in. Like, that's the sort of thing that was going on back then. Like, if you excelled or you looked too good, that was a mark against you. It's very counterintuitive. So they made them go out there and redo the match, and I guess either not punch or just make it look worse. I don't know. But I look at that and go, you know what? That if that's the case, then the guys need to up their fucking game and throw better punches. Base Beer says Samoan telenovela, Young Rock. You got it. There it is. That's true. Uffman Entertainment, to quote Kurt Angle, it's okay to cry when you win. El Masse with the 28. Again, I read his message already, but I hope you're at least able to take your mind off it. He got dumped today, but of all the days to get dumped too. But hopefully you are taking your mind off things and having a good time tonight. Little Baby Fire Panda gifted 5 channel memberships. How about that? Hey, Fire Panda, thank you very much. Retro KOH. Solo, you kind of sound like a Teletubby with the uh-oh. I could see it now. Tinky Winky, Dipsy, Lala, Poe, and Solo. I know Tinky Winky was a Teletubby because I think there was some kind of controversy involving the Teletubbies. I don't know who any of these other Teletubbies are. Dipsy, Lala, Poe. I have no idea. They could be Power Rangers for all I know. I wouldn't know. Jamie Dorsch. I heard Hogan's excuse for being booed on Raw in LA. Yeah, you heard it from me. I talked about it on the podcast. Guess he forgot about WrestleMania 21 when he won, or when he was cheered coming out in LA, no less, in 2005. Must have been in an alternate reality, brother. I'll say it again. If his lips are moving, he's lying. If he told me 2 + 2 = 4, I wouldn't believe it. Bobby Means. Call me crazy, but I see Tiffy time beating the Queen at WrestleMania, and I would wait a year to do Rhea versus Bianca at 42, give it a year and build. Well, we're not getting it this year anyway, so yeah, sure, you may as well do it at 42. But, all right, you think that Tiffany is going to win at WrestleMania? We'll find out. We shall see. And Jamie gifted 5 channel memberships. Jamie and Fire Panda, thank you both. That's 10 memberships. That's 10 new ones right there. We've grown the family by 10 just from those 2 people alone. Daniel Carlisto, sign me up for Priest Nakamura at WrestleMania if there is a shift. Priest used to be a heel. Nakamura could play up the darkness in his heart and all of that stuff. And Damian Priest can end up with the United States Championship. You know what? That works for me. And then you do LA Knight and Drew McIntyre. Jeremy Dyer. What's going on, Jeremy? He says, do you think is going fatal 4-way between Io, Rhea, Roxanne, and Bayley for the title at Mania? No. If anything, I think it would be Bayley and Roxanne one-on-one. These multiple people matches. As it is, I think we may be heading for Rhea, Liv, and Io at WrestleMania. If so, we do not need anybody else added to that match. I don't want all of these multi-person matches. It's just ridiculous. Retro KOH says Jacob Fatu will be in a world title match at next year's WrestleMania. Mark my words. All right, marked. Consider it marked. Jeremy Rose, do you think Chelsea will ever be a world champion in WWE, or is this her peak? What type of stipulation do you see KO and Sami being? At the Elimination Chamber? None, or unsanctioned, if anything. Chelsea is a world champion? No, I don't see it. Not that she can't handle it, but I just don't see it. And Jeremy says, more likely WrestleMania match for Drew. Jacob, Damian, Cody, or something else. It's going to be Priest, and if not Priest, then it'll be LA Knight. It's not going to be Cody, and it's not going to be Jacob. Holiday says, what stage design would you like to see at WrestleMania? They're probably sticking with the cards theme as per the logo. I would like to see a roulette wheel. Why not both? I want to see dice. I want to see the roulette wheel. I want to see all of it. It's Vegas, baby. As long as we don't get the Caesar's Palace toga party, I'm good. Chris Manson, when do you think AEW will begin their own Hall of Fame? Not for a few years. I think we're still a few years away from that. And Sting will probably be the first inductee. Hey, Eminem just gifted 5 more channel memberships. That's 15 new members in our family tonight. Welcome. Matt Fisher says, a young Catholic kid says to a young Jewish kid, our priest knows more than your rabbi. The Jewish kid looks at him and says, of course he does. You tell him everything. That popped me. Thank you, Matt. DEH Sires, is WWE going to depend on AEW to make them stars now? All men in main event are in their late 30s to mid 40s. They don't have that issue with the women. Well, if they don't start pushing people like Carmelo Hayes, guys like that who are of that age in a serious way, yeah, they're going to have real problems in the next few years. If that's all they rely on. Even people like, Sheamus is probably 45, 46, somewhere in that range. Randy, KO, Penta. Penta is either 40 or about to turn 40. So yeah, no, it's definitely a concern. Oh, now Boots is getting in on the party with 5 more channel memberships. Look at the sea of green in our chat. I love it. I love it. Retro KOH. What happens when you cross a snowman and a vampire? Frostbite. What is a duck's favorite cereal? Quacker Oats. Ugh. Ugh.
You suck.
Dude, you should have stopped at Frostbite. Miguel Maldonado. My Spanish teacher in elementary school was Ms. Maldonado. We used to sing Somos Amigos. Somos Amigos means we're friends. That was the song. That was the song that we sang. Somos amigos means we're friends. And then she would make me spit my gum into la basura. Miguel says, my friend Ruthie J is interested in House of Glory. Can you please look her up? Well, send me a tweet. I can't look her up now, but interested to buy a ticket to You got to be a little more specific, but send me a message. I'll take a look at it, Miguel. Thank you. Thank you for the love. I appreciate it. DEH says Cena, Orton, Roman, Seth were main eventing in their mid-20s. Now they use it as an excuse like, oh, he's too young. Let's push 40-year-old Priest instead. That's right. Priest is 42. That's right. Well, so was Batista when he first got over as a main eventer. He was already kind of like DDP. You know, when he really hit it big, he was much older than those guys typically would be when they're first pushed in like a main event role. Miguel Maldonado with another 10. I see Logan Paul teaming with Hulk Hogan in the near future. What are your thoughts on that? I don't know what crystal ball you're looking into, but no, they will not be team. Maybe they'll team up on some kind of business venture, but in the ring, no. Hogan will never wrestle another match again. His greatest opponent and the only match that he will have from now until the day he dies is with the Truth. And I don't mean our Truth. He will not be wrestling. I don't care. You could put him in a 10-man tag team match. He's not wrestling again. Not in WWE. Navy 4181. Crystal meth ball. Yeah. Where do you get one of those? I didn't know they sold those. Do they have crystal meth balls? That might be what Miguel was looking into. I don't know. Navy says, do you think Dark Side of the Ring needs an episode on Bob Holly, especially from all the drama with Brock Lesnar, Rene Dupree, and Matt Capitelli? No, I don't think so. But I think what you need to do is check out the interview that I did with him many years ago. I did like a 90-minute interview with Bob, and he was very giving of his time, and he was very open and honest about, you know, whatever I asked about. We talked about a lot of that stuff, and he gave his side. So it's up on the channel. Not a video interview, it's an audio interview, but it's up on the channel. Just do a search. Solomonster Bob Holly, and you'll get the entire interview. It's still one of the best interviews I ever did. Prince Vegeta, and you know, I've mentioned this before, but years after I did that interview, when my mother passed away in 2018, it was within a few days, I got a text message, like a long text message, and I still have it, and it was from Bob. It was from Bob and his wife, and it's a very, very nice message, just because he found out that my mother had passed away, and I won't repeat what was in the message. It's very long, but that was very cool. That was very cool of him to do that. Prince Vegeta says, have you ever seen Game of Thrones? I started a few weeks ago, and I am on season 3. Solid stuff. I have not. Everybody tells me that I have to watch Game of Thrones. I'll like it. I have not watched it, so I can't really comment on it. Base Beer says, why didn't Gail Kim work out in WWE? Because they used her like shit. So she said, fuck you, and she left. I have a lot of respect for her for that. TNA used her much better than WWE ever did. Eminem, again, thank you for those gifted memberships. Retro as well. Boots, look at this. Look at all of the new channel memberships here. Base Beer says, Bobby Roode deserved a lot more. Yeah, I wish he would have come in when he was a little bit younger. I feel like he came in at the tail end there, then he got hurt. You know, your body starts to break down. I feel the same way about Samoa Joe. I really wish Joe would have ended up there, but it just wouldn't have worked out. But like, had Joe ended up in WWE earlier, and if Triple H had the book, he's someone who I think Triple H absolutely would have gone with as a champion and a top guy. With Vince, it was never going to happen. So we can say, oh, I wish Joe came in 5 or 10 years earlier. Yeah, but it would have been under Vince. Vince would have taken one look at him and said, what is this? We don't have any job matches tonight. What's this guy doing here? You know what I mean? Like, Sting, on the other hand, there were a lot of big matches that we could have gotten with Sting, but he kept signing with TNA every year, little one-year deals. So, unfortunately, we never got to see it. Jeremy says, is it me, or is Cody letting the black out in his hair? I think it might just be you. I wasn't looking at his hair, at his head that closely, so I don't think he looked any different to me. It's possible, though. I mean, Thunder Force says, I don't get Triple H's booking of Finn Balor considering how strong he booked him in NXT. I agree. I agree. Base Beers, the WWE champion, was tag champs with Bob Holly. That was Cody's first title in WWE. He was a tag team champion with Bob Holly. That's true. Bob talked about that as well in our interview. Arabian Night, who wins the Women's Chamber, Bayley or OMG Liv? Well, do we even know all the names? I think, isn't there one spot left to be filled? Who do we even have confirmed in there? We have Liv, we have Bayley, we have, I don't even know who. Remind me in the chat. I don't have it in front of me. I could rattle off all the men's chamber, names that are confirmed. Who is confirmed so far in the women's chamber outside of Naomi and Bayley and Liv? Okay, so that's 3. Bianca. Okay, Bianca. That's 4. Alexa. Okay, Alexa Bliss. Oh, Bliss fan. I'm sorry. Alexa Bliss. That's right. Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss is not winning the Elimination Chamber. Oh, Roxanne. Okay, that's right. Roxanne or Raquel. They're having a match. So Roxanne will be in there. But whatever's happening between Bayley and Roxanne, they're going to cancel each other out. I mean, I'm telling you, it really is shaping up to be Liv Morgan is the favorite right now. I'm going Liv or Bianca, but it's looking like Liv. And Trill Mexican, just waking up and heard that Solo played Back to Love tonight. I knew, well, I mean, it's Valentine's Day. How could I not? I knew he was thinking of me playing this. Happy Valentine's Day, Solo. You're very welcome, Trill Mexican. And Arabian Night. They should do the Seth Rollins Mystery WrestleMania 38 opponent storyline with Drew this year. Triple H handpicks his opponent. Aleister Black returns at WrestleMania. Well, he's a free man. If they wanted to do that, they could. And that would certainly be a big spot for him to return. I was thinking you hold off maybe until after Mania and then debut him. You know what? I mean, I'd rather Drew have a match that's already set up and we have promos and, build and all that. I mean, it's not the worst. Believe me, it's not the worst idea that I've heard pitched for Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania this year. Juan Ocampo, wanna be my Valentine? I am hammered. I'm sorry, I don't take advantage of people who are hammered. It's not what I do. Sidro says, good website to order sausage. I'll send you a link. I don't eat sausage. I do, but I'm not a big sausage guy. Maybe you are, but I'm not. Nick Grasso with the $4.99 for old school NXT fans. There is WWE's NXT channel with the old takeovers and episodes from Full Sail. Sidro, I actually did not get, I did not get it. I'm only now getting what you meant by that. Jesus Christ. I actually took your message seriously. And I legitimately thought you were going to send me a link to a website for sausage. And I was getting a little weirded out. And now I realize what you were trying to do. But yes, Nick Grasso is correct. I have raved about the WWE Vault channel. It's my favorite channel on YouTube. Of course, it should be your second favorite after this one. They basically set up a sister channel exclusively for NXT. And they have been posting a lot of old takeovers and NXT episodes. So they're storing all of that. Because right now, there's no other home for NXT. You know, once they took the NXT episodes off of Peacock, I think in the CW app, I'm pretty sure they only have recent stuff. So right now, that's the only place, at least here in this country, for you to get classic NXT content. So yeah, if you're not aware of that, there is another channel that you should probably be subscribed to if you're into the NXT stuff. Solo is more into pie. Oh, I love pie. I love pie. I love cake. What can I say? I'm a man of culture. We are currently sitting at 450 likes. So we have indeed smashed the goal. I thank you. So let's not waste any more time and let us go ahead. By the way, I didn't ask like what you think of Cupid Solo here in the corner. Right? He's cute, isn't he? I might keep him there for all the streams. Let's be the booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the booker.
Let's do it, baby. It's time for Tag Team Be the Booker. This is it. You guys earned it. End of the week. Final Be the Booker until Monday. Am I in the selection for Be the Booker? No. No, you were not. All right, we're going to kick things off here with the Brain Busters. Oh, by the way, that reminds me. On the podcast this weekend, episode 901, one of the news items I had, it's very interesting. I think it's very interesting. And it concerns Bobby Heenan. And it's actually a story I was not previously aware of. So that will be something I have on the rundown for this weekend. So you'll want to check out the podcast. But we have Bobby Heenan and Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, the Brain Busters. Great team, former tag team champions. Cupid Solo is cute, says Sarah. Yes, but is Cupid Solo cuter than regular Solo? The Brain Busters and the Midnight Express. Bobby Heenan on one side and Jim Cornette on the other. We have hit the lottery here. We have hit the lottery in Tag Team Be the Booker. Yes. How about that? Bobby Heenan's team against Jim Cornette's team. That's a dream match right there is what that is. It's all heels. But that's a dream match. By the way, I have to just mention, condolences to Jim Cornette and his wife on the loss of Harley Quinn, their dog, their Pomeranian, passed away. That was basically like their child. And that sucks. I mean, losing a pet is horrible no matter what. But I was very sad to hear that. All right, Women's Be the Booker. We begin with Lita. Former women's champion Lita. I saw the clip. Because it was recommended on YouTube. I guess they put the clip up from Cornette's podcast of him talking about, Harley passing away, and he could barely speak. Like you could tell like how heartbroken he was. All right, Lita is going to go one-on-one with Rowdy Ronda Rousey. I'm giving that the bell because I just feel like in terms of star power, I mean, obviously Ronda was pushed as a top star in the division, but so was Lita, and so it's a match we've not seen before. Lita and Ronda, and I'm trying to sell tickets here with these matches that we're booking for this, and so I don't know how the match would turn out, but I gave that the bell. I'm sorry. All right, here we go. Main event time. Main event time. We begin with the best there is, the best there was, and the best that there ever will be. Bret the Hitman Hart. Oh, by the way, speaking of the Vault, they periodically have been putting up Coliseum, like full Coliseum videos on the Vault channel. And they finally put up one of the most famous ones, which was released, I think, in 93, called Smack 'em Whack 'em. And the reason that one is so popular is because on that video, there is the match between Bret Hart and Ric Flair in Saskatoon, which never aired on TV, but that's how I saw the match for the first time. It was the only place to see it for many years, was on that tape. So him winning the WWF Championship is on there, and the first ladder match that they ever did in WWE was Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels in 92. They did it as like a test for the Intercontinental title. That's on there as well. And there's an amazing skit, segment, whatever you want to call it. They're at a hibachi restaurant. It's Mean Gene Okerlund, Yokozuna, and Mr. Fuji. And it's cooking tips for the single man. And it's basically Yokozuna sitting there and just stuffing his face with just raw fish and chicken and steak and rice. And it's like, oh my God. But the segment is amazing. Gene is just thoroughly disgusted by this. It's a great video. So that it's up on their channel. But anyway, I bring this up because in the video, they cut to Bret and Gorilla Monsoon. I don't know where they are. They're outside somewhere. And they're basically doing the, they're throwing it to each Bret match. So before they show the ladder match, Monsoon's talking to Bret. And they have a Bret Kamala title defense. And then, Bret and Flair. Bret's got the Winged Eagle belt as he's standing there talking to Monsoon. Go back and watch that. It's the broken belt. I've heard about this. It's the broken belt. Take a look at the eagle wing on one side. You'll notice it's broken. And he used that belt for quite a while, and I never realized the fucking thing was broken. But now I can't like unsee it now. I'm like, how did I never notice this? That he had a broken belt. Hey, look, it's Lucky Sperm Kevin Nash, Hydrograd with the $7. Happy Valentine's Day, Solo. Hope you and Katrina enjoyed a nice candlelit dinner. I left her messages. She never got back to me. I feel like she's blocked my number. But I'll keep trying. All right, here we go. Bret Hart is in the main event where he belongs here and Be the Booker. I wouldn't have it any other way. Bret Hart against Broken Matt Hardy. Not the match I was expecting, but look, it's Bret Hart and Matt Hardy, right? They're gonna have a good match. They're gonna have a good match. We'll even add a stipulation here. One stipulation I don't have in here. It's what do they call the final deletion House Hardy match? Is there a name for that? I can add that stipulation in here. Bret Hart and Matt Hardy are going to have an Inferno match. All right, well, I was about to hit the Sonic sweep, and then I had to pick a stipulation. And of all the stipulations for a Bret Hart match, like we could have landed on anything here. We could have landed on Iron Man match, cage match, ladder match, 2 out of 3 falls match. We land on Inferno match, which is like the antithesis of what Bret Hart is all about. Bret Hart does not have Inferno matches. So I can't give it a clean sweep. That's it. I ruined it. I ruined it. We're going to have to try again next time. Why Solo? Why? I don't know. Damn, I was this close. I was going to hit the Sonic Sweep. We haven't had the Sonic Sweep in a while. And I'm like, yeah, let's pick a stipulation. And then I end up booking Bret in an Inferno match. Let's see. Who else we got here? We got Boots. When you run into Mercedes Moné at House of Glory, tell her that Boots says hello, but not in a weird way. I am a respectable gentleman after all. I'm not going to tell her that some guy named Boots says hello. You sound like an ex-con, by the way. Like, who's your friend over there? Oh, that's just Boots. That's Joey Boots. He just got out. Adam Casper, happy weekend, Solomonster and everyone. When do you think Ricky Starks joins the main roster? Either Raw or SmackDown. Nobody knows. It's impossible to know. He's going to be down there for a while. He'll be down there for at least several months. And honestly, I think it is the right place for him to be right now. Especially if they insisted on bringing him up so quickly. We're heading into WrestleMania. There's no spot heading into WrestleMania for him on that main roster. Trill Mexican. Trill Mexican says, be the booker, all bells, thanks to Back to Love being played. Yeah, but then how do you account for what just happened with the stipulation? Hydrograd, again, thank you for the $7. And we have got Gabe Owners, WWE, I Still Love You Solo. Thank you, Gabe. Much love to you as well. Joey Numbers' days are numbered. You leave Joey Numbers out of this. Nick Grasso, best wishes to Chris Bay, who was able to walk again. Don't know if he'll wrestle again, just as long as he can live a good quality of life. That was the best news of the week. That video clip of him standing up and then walking towards the camera, that was the feel-good best story all week. After hearing nothing, like radio silence for months about his condition, which your mind starts to wander about how bad it really is. And it was bad. But then to see that out of nowhere on his birthday, no less, just turned 29, I believe. That was great news. Well, thank you guys for keeping me company here on Valentine's Day. I appreciate that very much. Hopefully we had a better stream than SmackDown was tonight, which I know it's a low bar, but yeah, not the biggest fan of this show. So hopefully we can have a much better show on Monday, because that's the next time I'm going to be live with you will be Monday night. Got a big podcast coming up this Sunday, episode 901. We're going to be talking about a lot of stuff, including NXT Vengeance Day. I'm going to try to watch Vengeance Day. I may miss the beginning of it, but I'm going to watch it tomorrow night. No, I'm not going live, but I will talk about it. I'll give my thoughts on that. Ricky Starks will probably be there. Not wrestling, but he'll be there. So we'll talk about Vengeance Day a little bit on the podcast this weekend, and also AEW Grand Slam, assuming it doesn't go on so late that I don't have a chance to watch it before I record. Because I will watch Grand Slam. We have no idea when Grand Slam is even starting. Probably not until after 11 o'clock at night. I'm not going live. We'll include it on 901. Gives you more of a reason to tune in. So until then, be well, stay safe, have yourselves a marvelous weekend. It's supposed to be very wet and snowy and rainy here in New York all weekend. I'm not looking forward to this. I hope it's nicer wherever you are. And I will see you back here very soon for more live sound off. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on your way out and that like button because it helps the video out, helps push the video out to more people, right? Which is what we want to do here. I want everybody on YouTube to know who Boots is and who well, maybe not Sidra, but who Boots is and Justin G and everyone here from our crazy family. So hit that like button and I will see you guys back here real soon. Until then. Oh, we got a very
I'm the learning tree.
very last minute super chat.
Thanks, guys.
Our first learning tree of the night at the very last minute, and 5 more memberships from Boots. If I didn't know any better, I would think that you guys are trying to keep me around here. Sidra, I don't want to scare them away. You have to That's one way to scare them away. Eminem says, you ruined Be the Booker, and so I give you Brie mode. You get Brie mode. I'm actually surprised that Triple H had the WrestleMania choices really quick without any teases. Also, I could see Jade pop before WrestleMania and Jericho Cruise is up and running. I could see Jade pop before WrestleMania and Jericho Cruise is up and running. What does the Jericho Cruise have to do with anything? Cruise is over. I don't know what you mean, Eminem. Thank you for the 25 activating Brie mode for the first time tonight. We didn't have a Brie mode or a learning tree all night. We just got them back to back. Leopoldo, base beers, yes, Gabe owners. Yeah. Leopoldo says, rest in peace, Harley Quinn. Say what you want about Cornette, but he has a true soft spot for animals, especially dogs. He knows that they aren't capable of being jerks like humans are. Happy Valentine's Day, Solo. I follow, well, I wasn't following the account. I am following her account now. There's this woman, Rachel. I forgot her last name. And I think she fosters different animals, cats and dogs and stuff. And she's been fostering this cat called Garbanzo. I don't know if you're aware of this. And it's like it's an orange cat, kind of big. I think a lot of it is just, Garbanzo's hair is just very matted. But Garbanzo was abused by the previous owner's roommate. And it's sad because she has the cat set up in a room with, a house and litter box and food and water and toys. But you can't get too close to the cat. The cat hisses and spits and clearly this cat was abused in some way. And I always say, anybody who abuses an animal, I believe an eye for an eye. There was a story on the news once about, was it a cat or a dog? It might have been a cat. And there was some teenager or whatever that used firecrackers and stuff and set the animal on fire. It was something horrible like that. I don't even like talking about it, but eye for an eye, bitch. I don't tolerate stuff like that at all. And it takes a special kind of evil, I think, to abuse an animal like that. So I don't know. I don't know what happened to Garbanzo in this case, but every time I see the video and she's trying to get the cat to, be comfortable around her and everything, and it's a work in progress, but it breaks my heart, every time I see that, what must have happened, to this animal that they are like this. It must have been pretty horrible, and they have no trust in people now because that trust has been broken. So, yeah. But it made me think of that because I've been following that over the last few weeks. And Adam Casper AEW Grand Slam is on a 20-hour tape delay here in the United States. Yeah, I think it was like 21 hours or something. So, yeah, that's why I said before, if anybody is watching the show tomorrow night when it airs and cares, not to be spoiled, just be aware of that. You'll probably have to stay off social media tomorrow. If you don't care, then you don't have to worry, but just be aware of that. Thank you for all of the gifted memberships tonight. That's very cool. We haven't had that many gifteds in a while. So I appreciate that. Be good to your animals. And as Bob Barker used to say, get your pets spayed or neutered. Goodbye, everybody. I'll see you on Monday.
I wanna be your alien queen. We can ride to the moon in your space machine. You get me in the mood. It feels so fucking good.